Another day, another devastating report about how the banks are screwing us. Well, this is about Morgan Stanley and what they did during the meltdown of the housing market. Well, the New York Times explains that in the fall of 2005, the bank employees got non-public assessment, private assessment, so nobody else knows about this except the people at the bank, about how the subprime market was a house of cards. Now, what happens next is interesting. With that knowledge, they decide, hey, you know what? In February of 2006, we'll build a product, a financial product, that is full of those toxic mortgages. Now, wait a minute. Now, you just got an assessment saying they're toxic. Why are you building an investment like that? Well, it might have something to do with this. A couple of months later, in April of 2006, they created their own internal hedge fund inside Morgan Stanley to bet against those toxic mortgages. So they create them, they prop them up, they sell them to other people, and as soon as they sell them to those people, they short them, meaning that they bet against them because they know that they just sold them a bag of goods. Okay, you see, this would be called fraud. And if we had a real Justice Department, it would be pursued. But of course we don't. We have a Justice Department that is wholly beholden to the banks in this country. It is sick. Now, if it wasn't clear enough what Morgan Stanley's intentions were, well, they just got sued by one of the people that they suckered, it was a bank out of Taiwan. And when they did an investigation because of the civil lawsuit, they found what the government could have found if they had any intention of investigating any of these banks. It turns out the bankers at Morgan Stanley did know how toxic this stuff was. In fact, let me give you their nicknames for the packages they created. Subprime meltdown. This was before the meltdown that they labeled it the subprime meltdown. This is the stuff that they're selling to other people saying, oh, this is awesome, you should buy this. Hitman, nuclear holocaust, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and my favorite, it's not on the list there, shitbag. That was one of the nicknames for the stuff that they were selling their clients. Gee, I wonder if that was fraud. I can't quite tell. So then you might say, well, how sure were they? When you asked the Morgan Stanley spokesperson, well, they seemed to know this was pretty toxic. Wouldn't that be fraud? They said, oh, no, the guy who gave him, or the several guys who gave him those names, that wasn't in their field of expertise. Quote, it was not his job or within his skill set to assess the state of the market or the credit quality of the transaction being discussed. Really? They were selling it, so you'd think that it would be in their skill set to know what was in it, and you would think that they know what's in it because they just called it the nuclear holocaust. Okay, if you weren't sure yet, then we find another email. And this is an employee saying one of the reasons that we should sell this junk is, quote, the ability to short up to $325 million of credits in the CDO. Now, if you don't speak financial speak, I will decipher that for you. Shorting means betting against. So they're like, let's create this thing and let's bet $350 million that it will collapse. How do we know it's going to collapse? We're the ones who created it. And in fact, they did wind up putting $170 million of bets against it. So it wasn't just their intention, they took action on it. Well, how bad was it? And did they? And because the main excuse the Justice Department has every time is, look, it's really hard. These cases are so hard to prove. It might have helped if you tried, by the way, and got these emails. They didn't even try. But if you did try, oh, but you have to prove that they knowingly did this. I think calling something a shitbag and a nuclear holocaust gives you a pretty decent idea that they knew what was in that crap. And then if you weren't sure, here's another email where they say that the stuff was, quote, deteriorating appraisal quality that is very flagrant. That's one of my favorites. It's deteriorating, and it's deteriorating in a way that is very flagrant. Everybody inside the building knows. In fact, what they did was they took the guys who packaged it up and wrote the email saying this is really terrible stuff, and they moved them to the division which would bet against those toxic mortgages. Gee, I wonder if they knowingly did it. How easy a case would this have been to prove if the Justice Department wanted to prove it? Of course, Lanny Brewer, the head of the criminal division, had no such interest. And every time he's asked about it, he said, oh my God, I made it my top priority. I just never got to it. Funny top priority you got. Justice Attorney General Eric Holder, of course, used to work at Covington & Burling. What's that? Oh, that's the law firm that represented the top banks in the country. He was their defense lawyer, and now he's the attorney general. Another wild coincidence. Golly gee, they couldn't prove a damn thing. By the way, on that one deal alone that they wind up calling the stack, because they had to sell it to somebody, and they're like, okay, fine, it's not Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, it's the stack. Okay. Well, what happened to that deal? They had $500 million of assets backing the deal. $415 million ended up being worthless. The people they sold it to lost $415 out of the $500 million. Gee, I wonder if they knew it was going to be fraud. I wonder if that was a criminal action knowingly taken by these lawyers. When you read the emails, it's not even close. It is obvious. But our government is in on it. They don't prosecute these guys because these guys are their friends. They defended them before, and as soon as they get out of office, they're going to get paid millions of dollars to defend them again. And part of the services that they render is to make sure none of them, no matter how criminal their actions were, no matter how fraudulent their actions were, no matter how much it cost other people, consumers, and the taxpayers, never ever suffer the consequences. That they all keep their bonuses and never see a day in jail. This system is rigged against us, and it is sick.